Hi everyone. So, good evening everyone. I would like to thank you for being here with us today for actually the fourth virtual event organized from Digital Communication Network Southeast Europe Hub, headquartered in Thessaloniki, Greece. The webinar is arranged jointly by the Hub, DCN Europe and World Learning. Digital Communication Network is a coalition of digital influencers with the aim to improve the information space and also discuss current and very important topics regarding digital communication. And it is supported by the State Department from the Office of Citizen Exchanges. Today, our speaker is Franak Viacorka. Franak is an expert on digital communication, and what we will actually discuss, and he will present to us, are major questions regarding the digital communication space and the media evolution as well after as results of COVID-19. Up until now, your participation has been great. We would like you to keep on that path as well. Just to remind you that all the questions that you have, you can address them through the chat that we have here. And the aim is actually to engage all together in a very in a discussion regarding a very important topic. Franak, thank you very much for being here with us, and the floor is yours.
Hi everyone. So it's a big pleasure to be the host today. So let's make it so much interactive as possible. Feel free to ask questions. We have chat. I will try to make like the short blocks with slides, and later you can ask questions. So we also record in our event, so you can watch it afterwards. Nikos will take questions from the audience. So let me spotlight myself. And if you want to speak with video, just don't hesitate to raise your hand and say that I want to speak. So we will see, and we will switch you on. So let me start with a small poll. So the first question, which will be just to know each other better. So the question is, what is your background? We are really willing to know where you came from journalism, NGO, education, marketing, medical, IT, business, government, or arts creative. Please, you can go to the polling tab and please vote so we can check. Oh, the question is from Olga Leonova, PR. So I think PR can go to marketing rather, or arts creative. So I see Maria Kaplina, hello. Dimitris Perliaris, Greece, marketer. Thank you so much for writing comments, but you can also vote in the poll if you wish. And your government, so cool. So we have also people watching from Malaysia, from Europe, from Ukraine, from Greece. That's so cool to have you all here. So please, if you can just vote, and we can see the results of the voting. So, and now I want to start the small introduction of today's topic, and I will play my screen. But so far, you can ask your questions, and Nikos will make sure these questions will be asked later. So, do you see the screen?
No.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, great. So those who are not speaking, please mute yourself in order to not create some noise. So my first part will be about the current trends in the digital space. So I will start with three main ideas. First idea is that thanks to COVID, I think that's the only positive thing related to COVID. And today we will try to focus on the positive things primarily. So COVID, it catalyzed the process of digital transformation for international organizations, for media, including traditional outlets, TV channels, including international charity foundations, even World Health Organization, which was never super creative. You know, they embraced TikTok and Tinder, and they hired very cool professionals in social media marketing. The second important trend, that internet became a critical necessity. So we can see, due to COVID, we can see how the regions and countries with a high internet connectivity, how coordinated they are in fighting the pandemic. So they are quarantined, but at the same time, they work together with authorities and local administrations to fight the pandemic, to help each other, to collect and gather help if needed. And the third important shift is the role of digital media and journalism is important as never, because from radio channels, TV stations, and websites, people actually get informed and involved into what's happening. So first I will try to mark 10 most important changes that happen. First of all, the internet shift from traditional public web to the so-called deep web part. So people use more and more messengers to connect with their friends, families, those quarantines. They are loved ones abroad who are locked in other cities perhaps, but also they use deep web, especially in authoritarian countries, to share insights, to share observation about the real situations. And this started not in Europe or United States, it started in China. When China began fighting with the pandemic, they also fought independent media, independent news organizations, and people shifted to Signal, to encrypted communication messengers in order to share the real knowledge and the real information about the situation. The second important, messengers, because algorithms, they, of course, you know, they create filter bubbles, of course, you know, they create some personalized news feeds, and you can see all the news, but people want to receive information quickly. So they subscribe to the specific channels about the COVID update in the US, COVID update in Italy, COVID update in Belarus, and they want to receive this notification instantly, just right away. So communication apps on the rise. So this list on the right, it's the top 11 apps download in Google Store in March in Italy. So after the quarantine was announced, people isolated in their homes, kids, parents, families, and they began downloading Zoom, Skype, Hangout, Teams, Skype for Business, everything that can help them survive. Zoom grew almost 30 times since the pandemic was announced. Now Zoom has like more than 200 million clients, and it's not able to scope and fight the problem, and it's not able even to serve these clients who were subscribed before the pandemic, because they need more personnel, they need more support services, they need more cloud capacity. Streaming services thrive. Of course, people stay home, they want to watch films, videos, real live news updates, and AMC cinema theaters in the States, they, for example, think about streaming premieres online. Usually how it happens, movies first go to the cinema theaters for 2-3 weeks, and only after they are published online. What's happening now? They want to stream premiere right away to online audiences. And YouTube Premium, the Red YouTube, it's also called, it's another competitor for Netflix. It wants to be the place where all cinema shows are being premiered. So in terms of consumption, people spend more time home, It means they spend more time on their desktop computers, their laptop computers, but the most important, the big screen. And they read long reads, they watch longer videos. So people are ready to spend more time on consuming journalism content. Arts and culture go online. So I think all of you saw these videos on Instagram stories, IGTV, Robbie Williams singing songs, playing with the audience, and all the girl asking, Robbie Williams, can you sing this and this? And he said, of course I can sing for you, my dear. And that's fantastic. That's another track of this transformation catalyzation process. So we see how the border, how the red line, the division between the offline and online world, it's disappearing. And all these virtual museums, art galleries, providing people with the access to world arts, they are free now. They are available. They've developed new features and new tools to the audiences. And for example, this feature, do you see the screen, right?
Yes.
So this on the bottom right corner, this is from Google Arts feature, where you can upload your portrait, and it will find the person from the historical painting similar to you. Heightened interest in high-tech industries. So after Chinese epidemic finished, as they say, at least, there is a higher interest to high technology sciences. There is an interest to medical education, to the artificial intelligence. Even universities in China, they're exploring the opportunity to open and create more and more learning courses and programs for remote and for offline education related to delivery, logistics, high-tech healthcare services, live streaming platforms. So the world realized that without technology, it will not survive another pandemic. And higher education becomes more accessible in the States too. So most of the online platforms like Coursera or LinkedIn Learning, they open their courses for free for students, and not only to let people spend their time home with some impact. Online services for kids. I'm sure you all heard about Google Classroom, but besides Classroom, there are many services like Dojo, Librus, Learnetic, and Kahoot platform, which allows basically to substitute offline school education. So in case if kids have access to the high-speed internet and are used to use technology for education and can focus their attention, to this technology, these platforms in the future can be the normal thing for schooling. And one of the last points for introduction before the first round of discussion, that's new forms of journalism. So basically all these coders, programmers, innovators in the news media organizations, in corporation, in international NGOs, who can develop cool stuff, playful stuff, interactive stuff, they are needed as never before. I'm sure you saw so many interactive maps where you can see the development of the COVID around the world. So basically people who spend a lot of time home now, they eager to play with the content much more than before. And of course, it's very important to learn how to check things. We often say, oh, fact checking, it's over, it doesn't work because fakes are faster than truth. It's true, but fact checking also evolves. Fact checking becomes also sexy, becomes nicer, it becomes playful. And it's very important to train the staffers, the journalists, reporters to do cool fact check. World Health Organization, as I mentioned before, they adopted Tinder. So if you swipe Tinder, I'm sure our friends from Spiridula from Greece We played with Tinder when I was in Thessaloniki, and Tinder now became the platform for societal mobilization. We can see the small videos published on Tinder explaining how to wash hands, how to keep social distancing. So basically, international organizations and media, they try to avoid all these new platforms like TikTok or Tinder. Now they have realized the audience is there and they have to be there in order to make impact. So this attitude, the change of attitude, it's very important. We don't neglect platforms because of their image. It's not serious. Everything which has the audience and which can help the mission, our mission, must be employed, must be used. Offline events move to virtual space. It's very hard to organize event for 2-3 days, and no one will be patient enough to listen to me for 4 hours as at normal conferences, of course. But that also forces event organizers to be more dynamic, to change their curricula, to train the speakers before. Like TEDx conferences, they do special educational training to each speaker before he or she comes to the stage. Same must happen to every virtual conference. That will be more and more regular thing in the world. Internet interruptions and cyber attacks will be happening often. So many hackers around the world, they use this opportunity to take over, to revenge. Many of them created new types of worms, of malware. Some of them sent letters to users pretending they're World Health Organization trying to phish the passwords. So in case of people getting more and more involved into online activities, being more and more present online, if they will not take measures on keeping them secured, there is a big risk that the world will be interrupted, will be disrupted, will be corrupted by hackers and malign actors. The next lecture, day after tomorrow, by Lukasz Król, it will be about digital security in time of COVID. And we will discuss this issue. But also remember that it's very important to keep not just societal equality, but tech equality in the world. Now, when the whole world is quarantined, it's very important to provide every nation, every group of society with the same access to the internet. Unfortunately, people in Asia, in Africa, they don't have fast connection, they don't have full version of Facebook, and they're not able to enjoy their life, their online life, being in quarantine same as we people in the Western Hemisphere. This is why it's very important for governments, international organizations to invest into fiber connection, internet connection, and into internet development. So I will make this small break for first round of questions, if you don't mind. I hope you're not sleeping yet. I will finish our first voting. Nikos, you can pick the questions if you see any.
Yes, yes, Franak, we have received some questions. The first one is about what do you think about TikTok? People still use TikTok for making fun videos as if it's nothing happened, but we have seen that World Health Organization was quite worried about the use of TikTok actually as a platform to spread the fake news. This question comes from Raziv.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So if any of you wants to speak with video, just put the sign raise hand, and Nikos will play your video, so you'll be asked this question. I will try to answer, to take your point about TikTok. So now every platform is the platform of fake news. We see the renaissance of traditional, super aggressive fake news campaigns. There are many actors who are behind these campaigns, and there is no any power or any solution available for now to stop disinformation or fake news on platforms. So TikTok is not only platform with such problem. The problem on TikTok that traditional media, they're so focused on Facebook, YouTube, and big platforms, they never cared about building presence on TikTok. So now all these fake news creators and disinformation actors, they don't have any resistance on TikTok. Same on Russian platforms, same on WeChat. So malign actors feel absolutely unaccountable there. They can do whatever you want and no one can say, guys, it's BS, it's nothing, it's not true. This is why for everyone it's very important to think, where are fake news? Where is disinformation? Where should I be to stop it from distribution? And Facebook actually has the best situation. And Zuckerberg takes measures in preventing disinformation and fake news spread it through Facebook feeds. Some of these efforts are efficient, some of this not, but at least they're doing something. VK or Odnoklassniki in Russia, they don't do anything. And opposite, sometimes they fight Western media on their platforms because they want to keep these platforms under Kremlin's control. Maybe other questions? Nikos?
Yes, also let me just comment actually. Dimitris Paraliaris said that he believes that TikTok is perceived as a COVID-19 free content, so it's a space where everyone can express themselves. Olga actually agrees with you. Franak says that Thessaloniki Film Festival and Athens Opera House have streamed great works of art. While Kalliopi says that we don't only use TikTok here, but it's everywhere common. Olga has a very specific question regarding, however, disinformation flows are huge as well as corruption in certain countries. How could we address it so that people use social media to increase the resistance to corruption? Because you mentioned actually that there is a need for investigative journalism and actually use these platforms as a way to hold accountable power. Franak?
Can you clarify, Olga? Can you clarify the question? So, do you mean which regions do you speak about? Because can you clarify the question?
Okay. Yes, Olga. Yes, she actually is mentioning that for Eastern and Central European countries, actually, like Hungary, Romania, etc.
Okay.
Yes, and Anastasia is actually asking also that is related with this question, why don't we hear news from Russia and hear mostly about COVID-19 in Europe? What are your comments on that, and what media's role in order actually to bring these cases in the front?
Okay, so there are many questions. So I will start from the end, from Maria Dobroskokina and Greek name, Anastasia Markella Dacha. So there are news from Russia, but unfortunately the Western media and politicians are so busy in tackling COVID problem in their countries, including fake news, because Western information space are overflowed with fake news. So they don't have time to follow the development in Russia. But what's happening in Russia, it's a big disaster. They prepared the set of laws saying that's law to help society to pass through the pandemic situation. But reality is that these laws are aimed to limit freedom and liberties in Russia. So one of the laws are to fight spreading fake news, but General Prosecutor Office of Russia gave example of fake news. And one of fake news was the commentary by the user saying that government is hiding the truth from us. So this is the type of fake news Russia wants to fight. So I think authoritarian regimes, they want to take advantage of this situation. The same with the corrupted regimes in the Central Europe, within Latin America and Southeast Asia. they're trying to use this moment of a Western weakness for revenge. And we should be very careful, because in times of this global crisis, many things can happen. And in case, let's say, virtually, hypothetically, if Russia will decide to take over or annex another small country, another small Crimea somewhere, the West will not be able to stop it for now, because everyone is super busy. And so for small aggressive actors and for huge empires, that's a big chance for changing the world order. This is why we, people with the pro-democratic values and position, who stand for united Europe and Euro-Atlantic collaboration, we have to be together, and we have to prevent, in my opinion, any tries, any efforts like in Italy to disorganize or to make people feel disappointment in Europe. Europe is not guilty, in my opinion, that COVID happens. But this is what empires like China and Russia wants Europe to feel disappointment and to choose dictatorship over democracy. And this is a trap. Let me ask questions, another question for you. So I have the second poll. What is the future? What will be the future in your opinion? So go to the polling tab on Zoom. The digital space after COVID-19 will become better, worse, or it will not change. Let's vote and let's see. Are we pessimist? Are we optimist? That's very cool. Okay, so I see the majority believes it will become better. Nikos, you see this?
Yes, most of the participants are really optimistic. So I think that they underline the big changes that have taken place as a result of COVID-19, because mainly what we do is emphasize in discussing the negative aspect of COVID-19. We don't emphasize that people were reinforced to use much more the digital space and enter that digital space. So that's something that we shouldn't forget. And I think that that's your central message, among others, in your presentations up until now, what we heard, that we shouldn't underestimate that what COVID-19 actually did is actually emphasizing or push the societies to use much more the digital space.
Yeah, exactly.
Positive news.
Yeah, there is always like positive news goes with negative news, and we shouldn't fall into the trap of this false optimism neither. So we should be very realistic about what's happening.
Yeah.
Balanced, yes. Ioana asking here. Ioana from Eskiadi asking, what about working in the age of COVID-19 and new ways of working and teaching? What I mean is that it has changed the way that we work. Do you believe that this change will be established, will be continued after the COVID crisis? That's a very good question, Ioana. So I think when big things are happening, there is inertia after. So even if COVID will be conquered next month, in the fall, next year, we don't know, unfortunately. Still this dynamic, societal dynamic, digital dynamic, it will be preserved, because you see the whole processes and companies are rebuilt, are changed. And even if tomorrow all of our colleagues will go to the job, they will still use Zoom, they will still practice not social distancing perhaps, but the messengers they adopted, Google Classroom application, they will use all this stuff they liked, because many people just discover this tool, this particular moment. And if they will use it for short or longer time, they will use it forever. And Ina's question, Ina Dubinsky question, how do we create citizens and platforms that are more resilient to lies and more accepting of facts? Thank you. Ina, I think Ina is from US Agency for Global Media, my colleague. So the only possible solution, in my opinion, is to build partnerships. and build collaborations between coders, tech people, media, influencers, and activists. So now there is no way and there is no reason, to have parallel tracks. So only building projects that have tech component as the basement and the ideological values-based component as the structure itself, our project will be sufficient, will be efficient, and will be able to build resilience. For example, what happened in California, it's very inspiring. The majority of startups of California, seeing the problem of COVID, they switched all their works projects to this COVID-related stuff. And I'm sure after these thousands of hackathons, virtual hackathons, happening right now in California, in a few months, we will have hundreds of products and projects on fact-checking, interactive journalism, investigative journalism, solutions journalism, everything that can help us to make societies transparent, governments accountable, systems democratic. Let me continue my slides, if you don't mind, but please, if you want to speak, raise your hand. I see the sign, go faster. So if you want me to stop, you can see on the right panel, go faster, go slower. You can vote yes or no if you agree or disagree. So I will feel more or less your feelings. I will continue our presentation.
Franak, before continuing, can we take some extra two questions? We have Magda Konstantinidou that asks, what is an influencer for you? How do you define an influencer concerning on the topic that you have presented? And also from Anor Fanidou, how should journalists report online news in order to avoid fear-mongering?
Thank you. So influencers term transformed during the last several years. So in the beginning, anyone who was popular online was influencer. Oh, I have 10,000 followers on Instagram, I'm influencer. For now, when we say influencers, we speak about popular figures online who impact the societal processes, but also who take part in societal life somehow. Through the businesses, through the commercial activities, through the campaigns for social good, it doesn't matter. So influencers are those who are popular, but who also take responsibility for their countries, their societies, their regions and the whole world. And what DCN, Digital Communication Network, is trying to do, we are trying to build partnerships with influencers, because we basically know how to work with media. We know how to make journalism, how to train journalists to make them more efficient. But influencers are self-made people, and they're very talented in most cases. And they have many know-hows that journalists can learn from. They know how to attract audiences, how to keep the audience loyal, how to inspire users. And this is why what DCN is trying, we are trying to make influencers work with media and make media collaborate with influencers on the same project, same topics, include influencers into the news organizations, or identify influencers inside of news organization and promote them. So you basically develop internal influencers into recognized and influential figures. And another question was about online media. So I will have few tips later in slides, but basically, journalism now is struggling. Either you're super fast, either you're super high quality. And it's very difficult for many newsrooms around the world to find the balance. Or you wait, but you can make mistake, you risk, and you can make harm, but you get the audiences and you make impact. Or you wait and then your journalism is not relevant or you lose to your competitors. So what we have to do, we have to help journalists and to train journalists and media organizations to work faster. This is why technology can be helpful here. If you have special tools, special apps, special services, Google Image reverse search, Bell and Cat toolkit, if you have all of these, and if journalists know how to use this stuff, they will be fast and they will be high quality, same time. Okay, I will switch to next slides. Okay, Nikos, are we good?
Yes, 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 yes. Please switch.
I will continue to the second part, and here I wanted to speak about the industries. So this is today's report by SimilarWeb. SimilarWeb, it's a popular service of following and tracking popularity of websites. So, and they take hundreds and thousands of the most popular websites in the industry, and they compare, do they grow, do they lose the audiences? And we can see, of course, food and drink industry. It's growing for 6 weeks in a row. Of course, why? Because people order delivery, pizza, food. I'm sure everyone who's attending our workshop webinar, you also did it. So second, platforms. Here it's an interesting situation that Facebook in the very beginning, it gained a lot of audiences because people suddenly started looking for information, for insights, for advices, how to survive the pandemic. But now we see the alternative platforms growth. So many people, they spend like less 3-4 days, 16 hours a day on Facebook. And now they're trying to find something new. This is why I mentioned TikTok, this is why I mentioned Tinder is not popular now because people cannot meet offline. So Tinder, of course, is not growing, but services like Messengers or Messenger app, which was launched as the separate app by Facebook last week. You can download Facebook Messenger to your computer as the separate app. It was a result of this increased demand of private messaging. The second group of sites, it's news websites. So we see the huge demand in aggregators. People go to the news pages through the aggregators. Google News, Yandex News, Yandex.Zen, QQ, Yahoo, what else? Chrome bookmarks. And those websites who were ranked higher in these aggregators, they took advantage of this new situation. Governments. Suddenly, in the democratic countries, it's very important, government websites became popular. There were always like super boring website without design, without any interactivity. And this is the first time, I think, as I remember, for 10 years, even more perhaps, when websites managed by government began being useful and demanded by wider audiences. And the arts. And here we see extreme growth of Netflix, YouTube Premium, IMDb. People subscribe to new shows. Some media companies planned to make premieres earlier than it was expected initially because there is demand and people are ready to consume. Now I want to speak briefly about journalism. So TikTok, which is the fastest growing platform ever in the world, China backed. On the one hand, which can be used as the spy service, spy software. On the other hand, it's one of the most advanced platform in terms of algorithms, AR and VR features, with extremely efficient news feeds. So basically, people are spending hours a day on TikTok looking for the content they find funny. And in the beginning, when you go to the platform, you see only funny videos, but after a few days or months of use, it gives you more news, more serious stuff, more more analytical content. So it's not only for dancing and singing. But what's important that Washington Post, for example, which is quite popular on TikTok, first they had the concept to tell about the printed newspaper, but after the pandemic started, they quickly redesigned their concept of presence on TikTok to tell the story of how to be a good person on the quarantine. So the quarantine guy cleaning the floor, quarantine guy reads newspapers, quarantine guy participates in census, feeds his pets. So they switched to this self-promotion to social education concept. Another interesting thing, how journalists adapted to this new reality of remote work. The biggest thing that journalists really lack right now, the audiences. It's very hard to do content. It's very hard to record shows when you don't see people, when you don't have audiences in the room, when you don't really feel how they react. It's like make a stand-up comedy show without people in the room. So you have just to imagine that people are watching and react to you. It's very similar to virtual events and webinars like we have. So I pretend I feel and I see how you watch this video and how you react to what I say. So for journalists, it's even more complicated because they tell about serious stuff. So many of them rebuilt homes to the studios. The guy on the right, it's a Voice of America reporter. He rebuilt closets into the audio recording studio to make podcasts and radio shows. On the right bottom corner, it's a VOA reporter who moved her TV show, which is supposed to be with the audience, to the Washington Mall. NBC reporter, foreign reporter Richard Angel, he instead of doing his shows in the field, because usually he travels a lot, he interviews people. Now every day he records the overview of current news regarding COVID, and he does it from his home. On the right, we see Ksenia from Voice of America Russia. She hosted a VOA Russian TV show on YouTube before, and now she talks with people about how informal TV show, how do you spend your time on quarantine? So for now, that's a critical role of public service broadcasters. Why? Because we already can see that the economies will be collapsing, will be decreasing, there will be a global recession, it's already happening. And in these situations, private media and for-profit media will not be able to survive, because the owners, especially those who aims to get money from the media, the first thing they will do, they will reduce staff, they will reduce expenses. So people can be fired, projects that do not bring income can be closed. And this is why governments, when they will be deciding what to stop, what to cut, what to reduce in terms of funding, they have to leave and perhaps to increase funding for public service broadcasters. In Germany, it's ZDF ARD. In Britain, it's BBC. In Canada, it's CBC. In Australia, it's Australian Broadcasting Corporation. So every country has such broadcasters, and their role to be independent, to make non-biased journalism, but also to help societies in the critical situation to know the truth. Monetization models. So we already see that advertisers do not want to place their ads near COVID news. And 99% of news right now are about COVID. And they say, can I have my advertisement on NBC? Yes, of course, but it will be just after our special report how people die in hospitals. And of course, they don't want to do this because of the reputation, image, potential image losses. And what's happening? They reduce advertisement for the media. and they increase direct advertisement through Facebook and social platforms. And this can be critical for traditional journalism, which is very dependent on advertisers. But what can be done? Traditional media dependent on big advertisers, they need to restructure and to move to subscription model and to donation. We also see, thanks to the pandemic, that many people are ready to donate, are ready to give money, are ready to sponsor things. The common tragedy, the common pain, it unites people. And this is sad, but it's also very inspiring. Possible changes in corporate culture. That's very interesting discussion, and I will be happy to hear your thoughts. What do you think after this virtual remote work? Will the companies and organizations and governments become more transparent, more liberal, more free? Will the relations between employers and employees become more understanding, more clear, more transparent, or opposite? Employers will trust lesser to their employees, employers will try to control their employees, and those who worked a lot being in the office now will work even more, feeling they underwork being home. First, research from China shows that this culture, 996, so you work from 9 to 9 hours every day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. It existed in offline spaces, and now it was even strengthened. This check-in and check-out every day, it begins in 8 a.m. for many organizations and ends after midnight. So basically, people who work online, they don't have time for private life, for lives. So it leads to burnout. And I don't know what will happen, but two scenarios possible. And civilization, the world never faced such shift to remote work as now. And in Asian cultures particularly, I think there was no such experience at all. In China, in general, except IT sector, no one worked remotely. In the West, it's much more common thing. And a few last pictures I wanted to show. What other risks? Quality decline. Journalists will not be able product of the same quality because internet connections are bad, cameras are bad. I think if you work in media, 50% of you are from journalism sector, you can see that many of your colleagues do not know how to record, they have bad lights, something happens to their screen, or something. And as a result, the quality of the end product is suffering. Declines in ad revenue, as we discussed. So lower budget, industries like air travel, banking sphere, financial sector will not pay anymore for brand building advertisement as they did before. They put advertisement in Newsweek, on Forbes, and popular websites just to show we are so cool. Jewelry as well. All these industries, luxury industries, all these industries will suffer first, and along with them, media dependent on their ads will suffer too. Lesser paid content. So as you know, many journalists are doing paid content. It's called native content, nativka in different languages. Now journalists cannot travel, cannot to the office, cannot make journalism experiment to make these stories. So this native journalism advertisement, it will be declined. Cancelled events. Many media organizations depend on public events, concerts, sponsorship, and virtual events will not bring such money, of course. Home delivery for print is already in decline. And I think this trend for longer time, because the major consumers of print media are older people. And the older people, as you know, the most vulnerable group to COVID. And layoffs caused by the recession. So basically, for-profit media, dependent on sponsors, dependent on owners, they will be optimizing the costs. And we need training. Training is needed as never before, and here I identified 4 directions, but of course it's not limited to these 4. First of all, tech and digital literacy. It doesn't matter how old are you, it doesn't matter what sector you're from, you know how to use your web camera, you need to know how to work with communication tools, how to work with your iPhone. People buy iPhone and they don't know how to push buttons there to launch the live stream. So these basic skills must be trained, and this training must be organized by organizations, by companies as soon as possible in order to make them sustainable. Virtual communication skills go here as well. It's not only about how to make the Slack call or a Teams meeting, but it's also about the personal, psychological relationship. Many people never able to speak or write message in the way to not offend anyone or to not look aggressive. Building partnership. We often compete where we shouldn't. We often compete against those who are not competitors at all. So it's very important, first of all, to identify who are partners, who are competitors, to rethink collaborations in our relations with those who are potential competitors. And digital analytics. So this is the only thing that can help us to understand, are we efficient or not? What these numbers mean, how we measure the impact, how we measure our product efficiency, our digital presence efficiency. Time spent is much more important metric as any other right now. Okay, I go back to you, my dear audience.
Yes, because we have received a couple of questions, Franak. Do you want to go over?
Sure, yes, let's talk.
Okay, so Danai Woodkidu actually asks about how theater as an entertainment industry has adapted, or in your opinion, can adapt into the new digital and social isolated era. And also Maria Kokida comments how actually the banking industry are overspending in media advertising, trying to leverage the momentum for digital onboarding of customers actually. And then we just received another question. I would like to ask from Arlinda, what do you think should be the role of media and civil society in the recent situation? Let's go with these questions and then with the rest ones.
Yeah, that's
the first one is about the theater. Yes. That's it.
So about the theater, it was how theater has adapted, right?
Yes, or could adapt, actually.
Could adapt. So basically, all the arts industry, all the arts, they can adapt. So except the contact arts. So those arts which needs like the physical presence, the touch, experimental theaters, for them it will be difficult, of course, because you can't simulate the physical contact. But I know that many theaters in Ukraine, in Belarus, for example, in Poland, they began doing online shows. Some theaters, experimental projects, they allow users and watchers to influence the picture, to influence the scenario, the screenplay, and the behavior of the actor, which compensates the lack of interactivity on the physical presence somehow. But of course, you know, this adjustment of theater and similar industries, it will take some time. But I think this, as we discussed in the very beginning, COVID catalyzed many things, made them faster. So I'm sure that theater producers will come to the solutions that will not substitute fully traditional theater, but that will be same engaging as in normal, in peacetime, let's say. But I like what's happening in virtual space. For example, I have here Oculus Oculus glasses. It's a Facebook virtual reality glasses. And I see many projects and VR apps that just popped out last few weeks. And they helped me like to navigate the Metropolitan Gallery in New York, and I can see some historical monuments. There are even old Greece history apps there. So basically, VR can help us to compensate this temporary or perhaps permanent restrictions caused by COVID. About the banking space. So banking space can help media to survive, but it's not sustainable, unfortunately, because banking space will be impacted, first of all, by the crisis. So we see not only crisis by COVID and caused by quarantine, but also caused by oil price change. And banks, of course, will be suffering, will be closing, will be changing structure, will be optimizing their costs. So temporarily, they can help to support media on board, but not in longer perspective. Users, consumers must do this, and donation and subscriptions are the best solution here, in my opinion. But thank you, Maria Kokido, for this question. It's
also, just to mention, Franak, that media advertising, it's kind of an old kind of model that, as you mentioned in your presentation, we are in the meantime of where this will change. Actually, media advertisement have been the main, let's say, element where media had gained most of its revenues, but now this one is changing. So we also move to the next questions. Just to remind you here that, yes,
I have a question.
Yes, go. Frank.
Yeah,
go.
Nikos, I have actually another question about the challenges for media at our pool. So can I ask you, our dear participants, to vote? What will be the main challenges for media after COVID? And you can choose several answers here. And the answers proposed are how to regain trust, how to monetize and become sustainable, how to distribute content, and how to be more competitive. So let's vote. And Nikos, sorry, you wanted to say something.
No, let's vote. As people are voting, just to remind everyone that we have with us Dimitris Dimitriadis and Yanis Milopoulos, that they will actually also address the issue of how organization, business, etc. are addressed in these times that you mentioned of crisis, which is equally a very important subject. And also I would like to relate the question regarding the theater with the question from Cosmin Milhai about how do you see the future of events and conferences also. Plus, we have also from Maria Trullo, the question is, what is your opinion about the motives of celebrities sharing information that they are positive to COVID-19 in comparison with everyday people shares and post, kind of the influencers, let's say, discussion?
Oh, that's a very good question. So I can try to take it. But also I see Yanis here and Dimitris Dimitriadis present. So if you want to help me answering this question, will be great. So about theater and virtual events, I have a big hope for VR things, for VR features. Facebook developed Facebook Spaces and Facebook communities, or how does it call? So basically, if you have this VR, there is Facebook Horizon, and there is also another for Oculus only, the new thing, which is more simple, where you can create also your avatar. You cannot walk, but you can create the virtual meetings. And it creates quasi interaction, between people who are in the same place. But Dimitris, what do you think about this?
I think that virtual reality, it's a great opportunity for, let's say, the post-COVID era, because I think that Facebook will invest even more to help. Even more to Oculus, we saw that amid crisis, they release a new update for the Oculus. So we are waiting during May, the Horizon update, the new concept on virtual reality. And we saw that they start collaborating with theater outlets, with Cirque du Soleil, to produce new types of content. So we need a new, let's say, a new type of entertainment for the people, on-demand entertainment. Let's say Netflix monetized the whole thing super fast because it was there, but we need live on-demand entertainment.
Yeah, that's about Oculus. So I
And
have these glasses here. There's Oculus Go, which doesn't need any computer. So basically, that's a standalone device. And when you go there, you can navigate online. You can go to your favorite websites. You can play the games, but also you can call other people, 10, 20 people. You can decide the background where you discuss things. Near the river, in the mountains, wherever. And I think it's possible to make theaters, to make arts there. Unfortunately, Russian propaganda and disinformation is already there. So when you go to the most popular videos, I see 8 of 10 Russia Today, and it's very disappointing. So I think, you know, we have to work better, you know, and at USAGM, at US Agency for Global Media, we think a lot, you know, how to create more interactive, more innovative content, even for such new emergent platforms. If we don't think about this now, very soon it will be too late.
can we also take Yanis Milopoulos? What do you think, Yanis, of that question that Dimitris also replied?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I think that what would a good friend do right now? Across the world, brands use the term consumers when they talk about people. So that's the thing to remember. We're dealing with people. Deep in their hearts, people are the same everywhere, and we have yet to meet a person who doesn't need a friend. Good brands are like good friends, so they are there for you in good times and in tough times. So in good times, they delight you by instinctively knowing what you need and also knowing when your needs have changed. So good friends talk to you and not at you. You will never find them manipulating you. These qualities are why people trust their favorite brands, just like they trust their good friends. So a few things to remember for these tough times is compassion, sensitivity, and care. The 3 pillars of friendship, and brands needs to make these 3 pillars stronger than ever. And I think good friends also possess the ability to set aside personal agendas, ready to make a few sacrifices, such like the time that we're living. So today, as the world struggles with this pandemic, brands should show their compassion and their sense of sacrifice. And it's our duty as people in the communication industry to be a link between the brands and the consumers.
Okay, Franak,
Yeah,
shall we
that's a very
go to
good
the
point.
poll results? Yes. So we now go back to the poll results.
Actually, yes, we have 73 people voted, and the most important challenge is how to monetize content and be sustainable. That will be the biggest challenge for journalists. And the next question I wanted to ask all of you here: what platforms and technologies took advantage of the crisis, in your opinion? That's a bit provocative, but let's think, let's discuss, because I shared my opinion, my observations, but what are yours? If you can vote and tell us, we will be very happy, because now at the DCN, in collaboration with DCN CE Hub, we organized the research project. We want to make the series of publications about how COVID influenced the digital space, media, journalism, and business. And we want to see who took advantage, who benefited. Do you see, can you vote? Yes?
Yes, shall we? Okay, let's move on. No, they cannot see it. Can you relaunch the poll 3?
Yeah, let's relaunch it.
Okay, this is great.
Does it work now?
Yes, it works. I think for me it works. I don't know for the participants.
So there is a question.
Yes.
There is a question, Makis Monasteridis. If theaters and similar organizations provide free content, how they will survive the crisis? How they will get via the VR. So, you know, the most popular computer game right now in the world is Fortnite. And Fortnite is the most popular game ever in the history, perhaps. Fortnite doesn't take money for registration, for downloading. It's fully free. But what people pay for additional features, for special weapon, for special color, for special hat, for some adjustments to their heroes, to their avatars, to their anchors they want to play with. And same with creative industries. So you receive the basic services for free. It's like paid subscription model for or paid content at the websites. But if you want additional features, if you want to participate, if you want to influence, then you pay. For example, there is a Netflix show, and if you want to see another ending, like Bandersnatch, you have to pay money. You pay money, let's say, to see him dying or something, I don't know, the main hero. And then you have to pay $5 additional and you will see another ending. So basically these kind of services, they can be the solution for theaters, arts, creatives, culture, any type of culture. So people want to participate. And this is the only thing they're ready to pay to influence, or at least have the feeling of impacting the life, the product, you know, the communication, the content. So we have now what platforms and technologies took advantage of the crisis in your opinion, and we see Zoom WebEx, 90% voted. The second place, YouTube and streaming services like Netflix, 71%. Facebook, Instagram, 48%. Slack, Teams, 42. TikTok, Tinder, 42. Yeah, basically I think the same way I think we see the situation similarly. Do you have any questions more? Perhaps can we take another one question and close our event?
Okay, what we can do is actually I would like to ask you a question actually, Franak. Could you actually, if you were about to forecast the major trends and to sum up what you have said, can you do that in order for everyone to get a very concrete approach on what we just have said? I mean, especially the ones that they have missed in the beginning. Can we sum up actually with the major findings, let's say?
Sure. I will switch to my first summary then. I hope you can see it. So yes. Three main tracks again. So digital transformation is unavoidable. And those managers who was laughing and saying, oh, social media is not serious, you know, we are a serious organization, we shouldn't do this and that, they lost. Now it's a time for innovators, for cross-sector specialists, for those who can combine skills from different industries and professions. So those who managed to build digital capacity before, they feel very well, or at least they feel normal during the crisis. And Zoom is an example. They didn't know about the COVID, but they invested in the platform. They invested huge money. They made a huge effort, and they were in the right moment, in the right place, And now their audience is getting comparable to Teams and to Cisco WebEx. The second, internet became a critical necessity. Some countries have internet as the constitutional right. So in every flat, in every apartment, people must have internet and it's free. And now it's not the option, it's a must. In case of the pandemic or the crisis happens, internet is the only way to participate in civic life, in the way to pay taxes, the way to communicate to the state and to receive information. So it's must. The governments must make internet available everywhere. It's like a constitutional and human right. And the third, role of digital media and journalism. So when I say media, I also mean influencers. Influencers who create the public opinion. It's very important to not make them the weapon of disinformation actors and fake news creators. Influencers must be providers of unbiased, fact-based information. And journalists with the skills of fact-checking, investigative reporting, they must have space to reach their audiences. And they must rethink where their audiences are right now. And believe me, it's not only YouTube and Facebook, not anymore. There are many niche platforms that must be considered as the platform for distribution as well.
Yes, thank you, Franak. Thank you all of you that participated in this very interesting Zoom webinar. That was actually the fourth in a row. We are more than happy to see that we have a lot of interaction and participation. Just to connect with what Franak have just mentioned, and now it is because we have received a couple of questions. Maria actually Dobroskino actually suggests that I see through my own experience here also now that Telegram and Viber channels rule the media world. It is what Franak suggested about companies that they are ready to go on digital platforms, and this is something that it will provide them with a competitive advantage. So let's take these final ones. Franak, in your opinion, which are the main influencers in the field, from Anastasia? The second one is that what can we say about internet literacy? Is it global in a high level? These are going to be the last ones before we actually finish our this webinar.
So the cool things about influencers is that there is no one list of influencers that are the most important or influential. Influencers work with the specific audiences and niche groups, and they answer specific needs. The time when you can be everything, when you can create a media that fulfill all demands is over. Now it's a time of niche products that answer niche demands. And influencers exist in the specific country, in the specific community, and they are different. So in Greece and Thessaloniki, that's one list of influencers. In Belarus, where I am now, that's another one. In the United States, in the third group. So Digital Communication Network has the list of influencers we identified last year, but it's not actual anymore. Digital space is changing every 3 months, you know, and the things that were actual in January this year, they're not relevant anymore in April of the same year. So let's keep in mind that that's constantly evolving field, and we have to be fast, quick, and flexible. And regarding media literacy, that's the part of digital literacy. Digital literacy and media literacy always go together. People must know how to use technology, but they also must know how to build the information space on this technology, because information space, it is built on technology. Technology and digital is the basement of this house, palace. And the media literacy, that's the culture, that the walls of this building we are going to create. So media literacy, that's something that's the process, you know, that must be implemented in each organization, and primarily in schools. Now there are schools cannot exist offline, unfortunately, and this is why it's very important in these virtual classes that are taking place in different countries, that media literacy must become the part of the curriculum.
Yes, and with these actually words of Franak, I would like actually to end up this webinar, which is actually the fourth in a row. You can find actually the previous meetings in the Digital Communication Network YouTube channel. Also, it will be available in the DCNCE Hub website. But also we're going to be here on Thursday with a very important topic that we are going actually to discuss, which is about best digital security practices when working remotely. This will take place on Thursday, April 9th, again at 5 o'clock Greek time. And I would like actually to thank all of you that you have participated, initiated a very interesting dialogue with Franak. Franak, I would like to thank you as well. Just to remind you that was an event organized from Digital Communication Network Southeast Europe in cooperation with the US Agency for Global Media and World Learning. It is under the part of Digital Communication Network, supported actually from the US State Department regarding the Citizens Exchange Office. We would like to thank mostly all of you that you participated and initiated a very interesting discussion. As you know, this discussion will go on. We are very happy that we have initiated this initiative and we have a very positive response. With us, we have here also Dimitris Dimitriadis and Yannis Milopoulos, that they will be our next speakers on April and May. So keep on, and Franak, thank you once again.
Thank you everyone for being with us. Let's stay in touch and have a nice week.
And stay safe.
Thank you. See you on Thursday. See you on Thursday. Okay.
Thank you very
Thursday.
much. Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.